It's that time of the week again where I crawl out of the hole in your wall and make you some juicy content. Last week I ran a poll asking you guys what episode of The Haunting Hour you guys want to see me talk about, and you guys voted for the episode Walls, which has been highly recommended to me for a little while now. It's also kind of controversial in a way. Some people think it's like super terrifying, that the monster in the walls, it gave them fears of people and things in their walls. Some people think it's the dumbest episode of The Haunting Hour. I think it's pretty funny. It made me laugh a lot. We start the episode by meeting our main character, Jeffrey, who's played by Bobby Coleman, who actually plays another character in another episode of The Haunting Hour called Swarmin' Norman, and he plays as the main character Norman in that one too. Let me know if you want to see that one in the comments below. Jeffrey and his family are actually moving into a new house. Well, new to them. It looks like it's seen some better days. Kind of looks like Monster House a little bit, doesn't it? Right? Can you see it? No? Okay. Jeffrey thinks his house looks creepy and he doesn't like it. He asks his parents,
why couldn't we have gotten a normal looking house?
But his mom and dad seem to think that there's a little bit of charm to their house. And you'll know what they mean by that if you stick around to the end. They make it inside and Jeffrey's dad shows him his new room, which is a baby nursery with weird wallpaper that have sheep on it that are kind of creepy too. So obviously Jeffrey's excited about his new room. After pouting for a little bit more, Jeffrey's dad tells him to go hang out with some of the neighborhood kids, get to know the kids around, make some new friends. But whenever he walks up to them, they just run away. Well, all but one kid named Chuck. Chuck tells Jeffrey that the reason they ran away is because he's moving into that house, and that house is creepy. Apparently an old man died in that house. That's it. That's pretty much the reason why it's creepy. Then Chuck leaves, but before he says bye, he says this.
Been nice knowing you.
Next, we learn that they're moving into this house because Jeffrey's dad actually got a new job with a huge raise. But Jeffrey doesn't care about his dad's job. He misses his old house and wants to move back. Brother, you've been there for less than 8 hours. Just give the house a chance. His parents ask him to at least try and like it first before you decide you dislike it. And he does agree, but he's not very happy about it. Later that night, Jeffrey's asleep when he starts hearing knocking sounds coming from his walls. And then it sounds like something falls underneath his bed. And when he looks down there, he sees something that totally freaks him out, but we don't get to see it. He runs screaming to his mom and dad and asks them to go into his bedroom and check under his bed. His dad drags himself out of bed and goes to check and gets eaten by a monster. Just kidding, he had to pull a little dad joke. So Jeffrey goes back to bed. I wouldn't be dangling my arm right there if I thought there was a monster under my bed. But since he was scared, he decided to plug in a nightlight to make himself feel a little bit safer. But somebody doesn't like the light. This is when a yellowish monster that looks both moist and dry at the same time, I don't know if he needs moisturizer or lotion, comes out wearing bear slippers. Or cat slippers. Maybe ducks? What is this animal? Anyways, he takes Jeffrey's nightlight and says, "Too bright." The next morning, Jeffrey goes downstairs to see his mom made pancakes, and his dad mentions putting a sauna in their house. How can you afford a sauna but live in a house that looks like this? Anyways, Jeffrey asks his mom where's the syrup, but when he checks, it's not there. But when his mom checks, she uses that magic spell all moms have when a child is looking for something and they can't find it, they can just get it teleported to them as long as they're looking like they're trying to find it as well. Don't think I don't know what's going on. So yeah, she finds the syrup there. We also learned that Jeffrey's mom is a clothes designer and her clothes are getting picked up by a big clothing line, which is great. That means their family's making even more money. And his dad's also getting a company car.
A Range Rover.
Oh, what now? What does your dad work for? Elon Musk? Jeffrey asks his mom and dad about the previous owner of the house. And this is when his parents start acting a bit strange and try to swerve the question. He says the kids say that an old man lived here and he died in here, but the dad just blows it off and tells him that the kids were just trying to pick on him because he's new. And his mom distracts him by asking him what kind of cake he wants.
Chocolate peanut butter, of course.
Later, Jeffrey is opening boxes outside for some reason when Chuck walks up and asks him about a sugar cave. Apparently, the old man that lived there before would buy bags and bags of sugar and tell him that he was feeding the walls for the creature in the sugar cave, and that if he didn't, then terrible things would happen to him. And after he started feeding him, a week later, the old man died.
They found him completely naked, face down in a pile of sugar.
Are you sure that was sugar, my guy?
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Back inside, Jeffrey is playing with some toys when he starts hearing the knocking in the walls again. And as he's investigating the knocking, we see that something is watching him through little holes in the walls. When he tells his dad about the knocking, his dad blows it off and tells him that maybe it's just the house settling because old houses do that. After that, Jeffrey's mom finds the cake that she baked for them all gone and the plate that she put it on in Jeffrey's closet.
I didn't do anything.
And Jeffrey starts noticing that whatever he tells his parents, they just don't believe him and they're starting to treat him like an outsider. They don't believe him about the knocking on the walls, they don't believe him that there was a monster under his bed, and they don't believe him about the cake. So this is when he starts to pitch a little bit of a fit and goes all in about how nasty and disgusting this house is.
I hate it here.
So angry at his parents, he storms back into his room where he hears the knocking once again. Then he notices something strange about one of the sheep on the wall. When he gets a closer look at it, he sees that the eye of the sheep is carved out, and not only that, but something is watching him through it. Jeffrey takes a closer look into the hole and he sees that a few of his toys are inside. This is when he gets a knife and cuts a bigger hole in the wall to get his stuff. But when he reaches for it, the creature grabs him and says,
"If you tell anyone about me, I'll take your parents."
So he promises the creature that he's not going to tell anybody about. Then Jeffrey's parents come in to check on him, but they're pretty much just trying to gaslight him into liking the house.
This house is great.
Wow, that worked. Well, it was probably more of the monster hiding behind him than his parents trying to gaslight him. And the next morning, Jeffrey's mom makes waffles, and once again, he asks for the syrup. And when he opens the cabinet,
More syrup.
the monster seems to want some too. So Jeffrey quickly comes up with an excuse to run to the store by himself. And on his way back home, he actually runs into Chuck, who's in his garage painting Warhammer figurines, which is pretty cool, honestly. Jeffrey lied to the monster and he tells Chuck that there is in fact a monster in his wall. And Chuck wants to help him kill the monster, so they decide to replace the syrup in one of the bottles with kerosene, which if you didn't know is a little poisonous and dangerous and will kill you. Jeffrey gets inside and hands the monster the poison syrup while his dad talks to him about moving anxiety and why he thinks his son has it. This is when his dad opens the cabinet to get something, but the monster found out it was not syrup. Also, his dad blames him for the mess that was just made, even though technically he was the one that opened the cabinet and let it fall. So technically it was the dad's fault. But right after that, dad leaves to go get some cleaning supplies when the monster tells him,
More syrup.
Jeffrey goes back to Chuck's house and they devise a new plan. He's still at his Warhammer station, but he just casually opens up a drawer that has 2 encyclopedias full of monsters and demons that he just has on standby for no reason. What the fuck? So the boys spend the rest of the day looking for the monster in the books in hopes that the book will give them a way to kill it, which they do.
Ever heard of a Clement?
The name of the monster is a Clement. Clements are wall dwellers that like sweet food and have a bit of a temper. Yeah, that sounds about right to me. This is when Chuck remembers that they have bug killer in their house from an infestation they had.
They're totally lethal.
This is when the boys go back to Jeffrey's house to try to find the entrance to the sugar cave. This is when Jeffrey tells him that he hears a lot of noises coming out of his closet, so maybe it's in there, and he is correct. And they do find the lever, and it opens in a James Bond kind of way. So Jeffrey puts his big boy pants on, gets the syrup and the bug bomb, and goes inside the hole. And while he's in there, it's very creepy and dark. There's very little light. And there are old pictures of random people on the wall and all kinds of little kids' toys everywhere. Also, just loads of insulation, which has to be itchy. I figured it out. His skin's dry from all the fiberglass that's stuck inside of his skin and probably in his bloodstream by now. Here, bud, got some lotion here for you. Don't ask me why I have lotion on my desk. Don't ask me why. Jeffrey looks around for a while, but he doesn't seem to find the Clement anywhere. But the Clement knows exactly where he is. He pounces on Jeffrey and asks him,
What are you doing in my walls?
Jeffrey tells him that he wanted to hand deliver the syrup for him earlier since he didn't like the one before, so he just wanted to be nice. This is when bro chugs the syrup. This is the most watery syrup I've ever seen in my life. But before he kills the Clement, he tries to befriend it.
It must get lonely in here. Maybe we could be friends.
But gets turned down pretty quickly.
More syrup.
This is when Jeffrey just blasts him with the bug bomb and runs away. And he almost makes it, but the Clement gets a hold of his legs. With all the commotion and screaming, Jeffrey's parents actually come in to save the Clement. He looks just as confused as me. This is when Jeffrey gets in trouble for upsetting the Clement. I mean, the parents literally coddle this monster and feed him syrup like a baby. This is when his mom says,
Do you realize how long it took us to find a house with a Clement?
What? Apparently Clements bring good fortune to the people that live in the house, and that's why they took so long to find this house and also why they moved into this nasty looking house. It's also why his parents have had such good luck this whole episode and why they're making so much money. And Jeffrey tells him about the Clement that threatened to hurt his parents and then also killed the last guy.
That old man was 114 years old. He had a 29-year-old girlfriend.
He said what? Oh God, that's everywhere. That's gotta be the wildest thing I've ever heard come out of a kid's show. Jeffrey tells his parents about all the shit he's been through to try to take care of this Clement because he thought that if he didn't take care of it, he's gonna kill his parents and they make him feel crazy because he thinks there's something in the walls, but they don't believe him. But his mom says,
Just think how difficult this has been for us, honey.
apparently the more people that know about the Clement, the less fortune it has. But it doesn't matter if your son already knows about the Clement because it's in the walls. Whenever he said,
Hey, there's knocking in the walls.
Why didn't you say, okay, we have something to tell you. Since you're gonna live here, there's a monster in the walls we have to take care of. It's that simple. But they tell him that since he lives in this house, he should be getting good fortune too. But so far, only bad things have happened to Jeffrey. So he asks them,
So what do I get?
but his parents don't respond to him. This is when Jeffrey decides he's gonna tell as many people as he can about the Clement, so it has no fortune at all. Then his parents tell him, you can get whatever you want. So he chooses to move into the master bedroom, have as many sodas and sweets as he wants, and have a boys' night with Chuck. And because he gets the master bedroom and all the good things, he banishes his parents to his nursery room where the Clement bothers them all night.
Syrup. I need syrup.
So his parents have to share his tiny bed and take care of the thing that knocks in the walls. And the episode ends with the Clement chugging some syrup. A pretty funny episode. I thought it was funny. It didn't really scare me. I just thought it was pretty goofy and wacky. I think the design of the Clement is really cool. It's creepy enough to where it gave me the heebie-jeebies, but like it's also kind of funny. It's not too scary. It's not like the fucking Dreamcatcher. That actually scared the shit out of me. Also, his parents are horrible. What the fuck? Usually, like in the kid shows, the kids are like the brats and they get their lesson. But in this one, they flipped it on its head. The parents learn a lesson. Let me know what you think about the episode of Walls in the comments below. Tell me any other Haunting Hour episodes you want to see me talk about or any other show you want to see me talk about. Check out this video right here. It's my first Goosebumps video. And like the video if you like the video. Thank you for watching the video. I appreciate you all and peace.